Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Moonlighters Club podcast held by the Moonlighters Agency. I'm your host, Joel Edwards. We have another special guest. All guests are special. This one especially. Quintel Harcum. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. We met at the Tech Summit during why am I drawing a blank? CIAA in Baltimore. And it was a great time. It was a really good time, and I'm not sure if you're aware or unaware based on podcast history, but we've had a slew of Baltimore guests on the Moonlighters Club, and yeah, we're pretty Baltimore heavy right now, even though I live in DC. So hey, it is what it is, man. It's a great town. You've been meeting a lot of great entrepreneurs and Moonlighters. So thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right, so what part of Baltimore are you from?
I'm from the East Side. I'm from East Baltimore.
Everyone I have met is from East Baltimore, like everyone. So, like, when I remember going there the first time a few years ago when I met my friend Akio. Where'd you go to high school out there?
I went to Baltimore City College. So, City College is a historical college. Like, it's one of the oldest high schools in America. It was like one of the early all male high schools in America for a long time. So, yes, I'm very proud to be a City College alum. We honor we carry that with like a badge of honor.
Is that what people say? Is that what they mean when they say "city forever"? Are they talking about?
Yes, City
Okay,
Forever is
okay,
absolutely us. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. When I hear that, I'm like, "City forever." Who we talking? It's the high school. Okay, I'm only familiar with Dunbar because of the athletics, because of the
Athletic,
basketball
yeah.
team. I grew up
Makes
hearing
sense.
about Muggsy and Reggie Lewis. I grew up in Boston, so Reggie
Yeah.
Lewis is a folk. He's a hero. The idea of entrepreneurship, running a
hmm
business, what was that like for you when you were, say, a teenager?
So entrepreneurship starts really young for me because I grew up with they filmed a lot of The Wire on the East Side. So I grew up like 2 blocks away from where they uh, what was the space where Amsterdam. I grew up 2 blocks away from where Amsterdam was filmed, like that building and everything it was in. So not far from there, but 1 block up the street from my house, there was a store called Jet Set, and it was a record store. Back in the day, you actually had to go in the store and buy an album, buy a CD. So it was a neighborhood mom and pop record store, and there's a gentleman named Mr. Bill. Mr. Bill used to own Jet Set. He was pretty cool. He had a fly little car. He always dated like women a few years younger than him. Nothing, egregious, but he was just a little bit older. He had his little flashy chains. He used to have these real cool gazelles. He was bald in the middle, right? But he still had the hair on the side. But it couldn't fade Mr. Bill, right? He knew he was the man because he called his own shots. He lived above the store. And he was just he was a little bit flashy, but he was a really nice guy. He had Jet Set. It was a record store. So we knew Mr. Bill owned it. So we saw entrepreneurship up close and personal. And then it kind of transformed into a corner store when malls started to pop up. And, we had we didn't have Tower Records, but I forget the name of the spot that we used to go. But, basically, the mom and pop record store wasn't really a viable business. So he kind of flipped it into more of a corner store. And that's where I really got to experience entrepreneurship. Then from there, it was more like barbershops and things like that. And as a teenager, it was really from like hip hop and rap music. So Dame, Puffy, Russell, those type of guys made me think like, yeah, owning stuff is really is a cool move.
Yeah, I love the mom and pop, man. Like that's one thing that's missing in a lot of communities is the fact that you used to get to see someone. It didn't have to be the most extravagant thing, but we grew up seeing folks own just storefronts. Um, there was a guy named Bob. He had a store called Bob's when I was growing up in Jamaica Plain. It had like 3 arcade machines and like candy. Every day we were at Bob's. That place provided me so much value. He ended up moving to another part of town, another part of Boston, the Hyde Park. But seeing him just run that was great. Like we all knew him. We went in there, bought our stuff. It was cool. And to your point, it just made things seem real in terms of running your own business. Um, so that's pretty cool. So now you see the record shop. At any point when you were in high school, did the idea of joining the workforce, how did that resonate with you when you were in high school?
In high school, well, at cities really kind of academic more so on the when it comes to like English, right? So everybody in cities is going to college basically, like to some degree, everybody's going to college. So I was thinking to go to college, but because I was into books and I was into like learning and education, I didn't really know what to go to college for.
Mm.
I just knew I liked school. Like to be honest, like I played high school basketball, but I knew books better than basketball. and I wasn't going to play in college. So I was like, well, I just like school. I'm just going to go to college. Somebody going to pay for me to go to college. I didn't really know what to think about. So the workforce was like, I mean, to be honest, I think I'm smart enough to get a job where I'm not going to be broke. And that was the extent of me thinking about the workforce graduating from college, because I knew I was going to be able to just go to, back then everybody was like, go to college, get a degree, get a job. So it's almost like it's lined up for me. It don't even matter what the end result is. I know I'm just going to get a job. And it was really naive to think, but the thing I will say about that is, because I wasn't intentional, then I didn't really land in the workforce the way I would have liked.
Did you end up pursuing college?
I did. I went to school. I was undecided for the first year or two. I just wanted to be a teacher. I was really inspired by my philosophy teacher in high school. This was my
Mm.
12th grade year. So I was like, well, I'll just go into education. My aunt was a teacher. She was the reason why I was a half a bit smart, because I got to be around her all the time, and I used to get the teacher's manual so I could see all of the red text. Like, I know that's the answer, and it just kind of fast forwarded me through school because I was able to absorb it so fast. And and then Miss Caswell, she was a philosophy teacher, and then Miss Dorsey was like the most influential teacher in my life. So I'm seeing these ladies, and I'm like, well, I guess I like to be a teacher. Miss Caswell was my philosophy teacher, so ultimately I end up choosing philosophy as a major after my freshman year.
I ended up moving to Minnesota my last year of high school. I went to a community
Okay.
college called Normandale, just taking generals. And I remember
Mhm.
taking logic because I'm like, I always liked the idea of philosophy. I thought it sounded pretty cool. And the class logic was the most mathiest nonsense I've ever taken in
Mhm.
my life. Like A over B plus, and I was like, I thought logic would be like conversations and all this other
Right.
stuff, bro. It
Right.
just broke me. Like I never recovered from that. Like this is the hardest class ever. And I just threw that idea out. Were you studying philosophy for the whole time? You majored in that the whole way through?
My last 3 years, but so Lincoln, I went to Lincoln University. I didn't mean to skip past the high school part of our talk. I went to Lincoln, and Lincoln was kind of a liberal, but it's a HBCU. So there's some, uh, they have some level of like good engineering and math, but they kind of focus like on liberal arts, so you can kind of do everything. And it just really wasn't a vigorous course. I mean, I had a good philosophy teachers, but it was a lot of reading and a lot of writing. It was some logic like what you just talked about, but yeah, for the whole 3 years, like my intro to philosophy teacher, Dr. Flint, he was a really cool guy. And so he just made it real comfortable to be in there talking about this nerdy stuff. And we only had 9 people in my major. In my graduating class, like, it was only 9 philosophy majors. So I was with the same people all the time, and it just kind of made it real comfortable. And that's kind of the way I moved since I was in elementary school. I was in smaller classes because of me being blessed enough to be in good academic classes. All of my classes were small. So it just was natural for me. So I thought I was going to go to University of Maryland. I went to orientation. I had my badge. Juan Dixon just won the championship. Like, I'm hyped. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, this will. I mean, well, he was going to Maryland because he was a few years older than me. So yeah, so he was at Maryland. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go to Maryland, and I'm gonna try to walk on. And yeah, I'm going to a big D1 school, and they was not trying to give me any money. Well, not enough. And I was like, well, this ain't gonna work. And Lincoln gave me, they paid for more of my education. Me and mom sat down like, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. And I was like, all right, you got it. She didn't know much about college loans and this and that. So I went to Lincoln. My first semester, I was just so dissatisfied. I was really not into it. Because it's people from I wanted a more diverse experience because I'm from Baltimore. It's a majority black city. Not that I thought that anything was wrong with black people. I just wanted a more diverse experience in my education. So the first semester sucked, but then they also had like riots. It was like some race riots, some racial things going on at University of Maryland that year, fall '99, and the Black Student Union got into some things. And I was like, I'm glad I'm not really around that. Then I warmed up to Lincoln, and then I loved it. Like, I loved being at a black college. I love being able to bond my people. I love being able. That's where I learned business. Like, I started my first hustle in college, and it was great because I really got to see what professionalism looked like from a black point of view. I got to really appreciate different walks of life from a black perspective, because you have black people from literally all over the world. Like, a lot of Africans come to Lincoln University, uh, people from the Caribbean. So I really, really enjoyed. I'm really glad to say that I'm a graduate of Lincoln University, and I went to HBCU now.
Your first hustle, what was that at Lincoln?
My first hustle, I typed people's homework for $1 a page. So I was early on campus. So 1999, 2000. That's the turn of the millennium. Everybody, the internet is starting to take off. for kids though, I mean, especially for black kids from the inner city, like we didn't have a whole lot. But my mom always looked out for anything I asked for that was productive. She would hold me down. And so we found a way to save up, and she got me a computer, and I had the dual disc monitor joint. So I had my own computer and my own. Because I was like, "Ma, I got to share the computer lab," and it was fun because now we learning Yahoo and Hotmail, but the computers was slow, and I was like, well, I don't know, can I bring my computer? I asked around. They was like, yeah, you can bring your computer, but your dorm room still only got one line connection, right? So if I'm on my phone, you can't call our room. So if you got a late night creep situation, like yo, you gotta use the phone next door. They got to call next door. I'm on the internet. But anyway, my first hustle was typing papers. So I was going to everybody like, yo, walk up and down the rooms. Like, I'll type the paper for you. Because they didn't have class with me. Now, I got to type anyway, and I got to get fast because I'm reading and writing all these philosophy papers. So I would type everybody's homework for $1. That was my first hustle. But then I had the dual monitors. So then I started burning mixtapes, right? Because now Lincoln is in the middle of nowhere. We all these fly cats from uptown, from New York or whatever, and we would have to drive to Philly to South Street and try to buy like Reasonable Doubt bootleg version or whatever was the hot mixtape, unless the guys from New York went home and brought back mixtapes. So I'm like, well, there's a couple other kids on campus and they getting a couple dollars with the CDs. I'm gonna do the same thing. That way, the people in this building don't gotta walk across campus to the next building. So then that was the next hustle. Then me and my roommate started selling hamburgers and potato chips, and we just just kept piling up. And then I got like work study because I lived across the hall from the RC, the whole resident coordinator. Then we negotiated a deal with him, like, yo, let us get work study. We'll break you up a piece. Now, don't hold this against him. Work study is really boring and idle. So he was like, yo, if you sign up for some hours, give us more hours, we'll pay you back. We live right across the hall from you, so you know we safe, we know we reliable. We hold the whole rum thing down when you're not here. So just let us get that. So we just use that money, and that's what we started flipping into like the hamburgers and the potato chips, and we sold white T-shirts. We was doing everything we could do.
Like, that's a lot. The whole thinking through it, having to go to Philly, like, that's super entrepreneurial, you know what I mean? Going to Philly, getting stuff, coming back, flipping the money. I don't think the reason why I love having these interviews so much is that a lot of folks don't realize they have these innate things in them. You know what I mean? Like you're growing up in Baltimore, you're seeing people doing really complex stuff. You know what I mean? But the idea of school or something like that seems crazy. It's like, nah, you're already you already did have to work. You already know what they're teaching us. It's really just learning how to apply it in the right situations. So it's pretty cool that you were able to get your hands into those different things. Just the idea of purchasing something, making a profit, going from it, all that's super valuable. And you're doing all this while studying philosophy, which is even crazier. So you're doing all this at any point where you're like, why am I in philosophy?
No, because what happened with philosophy, because it was such a small group of us, and it made it easy for me to do all those other things. So I was like, I'm gonna keep this major because if I try to switch major or add, it's going to mess up the hustle. So it was pretty easy. Like my professor was cool. I was never really late with anything. Uh, I may have slacked off in a few other classes, to be honest, because I was doing other stuff. But as far as my major, I knew I was going to graduate on time. So I never really thought about why philosophy. I wish I wish I would have thought about some other things, but yeah, I will be honest. The only thing I regret about college is that I didn't double major, which sounds is different. Is because I knew I had time, and if you have that time, then you can apply that to credits, and I could have got enough credits to have a double major, and that would have been something, and it would have been a more technical major where I could have actually made more money out the gate or had been more equipped for the workforce.
Got it. So school's done. You got the hustles, you got the philosophy. What did you end up doing after that?
Man, I couldn't get a job for like a whole year after I graduated. So I was just doing all types of odd jobs or whatever to keep some money in my pocket. I wasn't really feeling great. I was very discouraged. Why I say the whole me regretting not having a double major is because there's no career path for a philosophy major. So I'm talking to my counselor, like, what can I do? He was like, well, you could be a lawyer because you know how to, break down things from both sides. Because that's what, you have to be as impartial as possible when you are breaking out other people's philosophy to pass. It doesn't mean personally you can feel how you want to feel. So I'm like, all right, well, or you can be a consultant. Now I thought being a consultant was a scam, and now today I could be considered a consultant, but I didn't understand what it meant. But I'm like, if you can't consult until you have experience in something. I mean, I'm only 21, 22. I don't have that much experience. He said, well, you could take the LSAT, go to law school. That wasn't really something I wanted to do, but I always thought lawyers dress nice and I know they get paid. So I took the LSAT eventually, and I was like, all right, I got decent grades, but I don't really want to go to law school, and I wasn't killing it enough to get it. I could have got accepted in like a few places, but not a lot. Yeah, so it was a struggle, man. It was a struggle until like 20. I mean, yeah, until like 2 years afterwards. My ex at the time, her mom, I got a job at her mom's real estate company. So my first business was inspired by college. It was called Schoolyard Entertainment. My friends and I started a nightlife promotion. We threw parties, but we did it on a professional level. And what happened was I came home one summer and I was like, "Yo, these dudes in Philly, they got these groups where they running around throwing these parties and they getting money, but they bringing the groups to college because like Lincoln is their home turf, like how Morgan would be a home turf for us, right? So they would like have their clique in the city, though like five of them probably went to Lincoln, and so they just did the same thing on campus to the point where it got chartered almost like a fraternity. So when I came home, I was like, yeah, yo, and there was one dude named Fats. Like Fats had a twin. They was real cool, but Fats was smart, right? Light skinned kid, curly hair, chubby, and he was like, everybody love Fats. And I'm like, yo, he's just mobilizing all these people. I'm like, yo, we mad popular. We was doing our thing in high school. We was always in the club. We was always in the club when we was young. So I'm like, we can do parties, but I ain't have any money and I ain't know what to do. I was still going to school out of state. So eventually we come back, we get together once I graduate, and I'm going through my struggle. I got a regular job now. But me and the homies get together. One of us took more initiative. He threw the first party. I had the second one. Then we came together and started doing it as a group. We gave it a name. We got an LLC, and we started like actually do business. And we started to do parties in nightclubs. We would consult on other people's parties. We would like in-house design for people, all that type of stuff. So
When I see people like promoting and putting stuff together, I don't really know a lot about the ins and outs. You just see the end result, which is if they're really good at what they do, a really good time. What goes into that day to day of doing it?
So what I'm about to tell you does not is not going to work for everybody else because you can throw party. People think it's just knowing people. We actually had the perfect storm, so some luck was involved. We This is how, because I was thinking in terms of business, right? We just graduated college, so we 21, 22, 23. The promos on all of the on the radio was either the clubs we just came from, which was 18 and over, or the 25 and over or 30 and over sexy crowd. So everybody between 22, 20 and 25 or 22 and 30 didn't have anywhere to actually go to a party with their peers. We don't want to go with the kids that just got out of high school, the college kids, and everybody that's like in their career, they looking at us weird, like y'all too young to be here. You can barely buy me a drink type of thing. So we kind of had a whole market and demographic that was thirsty for something to do. So that's the first part. The second part is finding a place to have the party that appeals to those people. Well, we just got off. Most of us have like our first entry level job. Everybody got a little bit of disposable income. They want to feel like they in a spot. They want to feel like they in a nice place. So we had to find the right location, and then we had to have the right music. That's how you curate the whole vibe. The right people, the right place, and the right music. And one of my best friends is a great DJ. He was a great DJ then. He's even better now. And it just all worked out. So that's kind of what goes into, you want to find a good place because you want to be able to accommodate all of the people, make money, put together a good deal on the back end with the club owners and so on and so forth. So, and then you don't want to have a rowdy crowd. So you got to think about how that goes, dress code, so on and so forth. You had the right people in place, security, um, hostesses, all that. This is pre-bottle service, so the lounge thing was just kind of taking off, and we just turned that joint out. Like we turned the lounge out. It became a dance party, but it wasn't like a dive bar or like a hardcore dance club. It was always had a different kind of vibe to it.
I've always been curious about this. Is Baltimore a house city?
Yeah, so club music. So house and club music, we would probably classify a bit different. Like my parents and that generation would maybe call it house music. But yeah, so we have our own style of Baltimore club music. So that is definitely a thing. But that was a thing when for a certain, like there's a uh, niche that's into club music, no matter what the age is. We were kind of growing out of club music into like R&B, like Music Soul Child and stuff like that, and then Lil Wayne was blowing up. So we was all in out R&B and hip hop phase, but we'll still play club because everybody at the party is from Baltimore, so it's like in our blood. Like we listen to some club music, we have fun with it. So yeah, it's definitely a club music type of city.
Got it. And I know one thing that had to be super beneficial is you're just meeting so many people while doing this. I'm sure that the network you're building is insane.
Yeah, and that's what I love so much about going to a HBCU. I always tell people they ask like I will always tell them the coolest thing about college is it's the for most people it's the best chance you'll ever have to meet as many people as possible like ever in your life unless you become a celebrity. You'll never be able to come across this many people ever again. Like it's literally thousands of people on campus and y'all got one thing in common and that just makes you familiar enough. So you really got access to, really humans can't really we can't really maintain more than 150 relationships like just persons for one person to the next. But we around 1,000, 2,000, however many people, and so you really only an email or a campus away, like just walk across the campus, something like that. So I took that from college into the party scene and started to realize the networking there too. Before we started the party business, I started a clothing line at the same time, but I put that on the back burner because I seen we was rolling with the parties, like we was successful, like actually making money, like we actually made money. We was doing we did well, and that wasn't even our full time business. Like so, I picked back up on the clothing line when we closed that down, and I did that for a bit on the side, and it was okay. It was the clothing, the designs were cool, but I just didn't know how to work that business well, and um, so eventually I closed that out after a few years, probably like 5 years or so. I had a little bit of run. I never made any profit. It was always going back into the business, but I was fortunate enough to have a career by then with the government. So, and then after that, I got back into doing events and parties. But by this time, things had changed a bit. So, things like traveling parties were starting to blow up. That we had Twitter, the internet. So now parties had a much greater impact, right? So things like right before Henny Palooza and stuff like that. So I was trying to infuse some of the younger culture because people connected over the internet more than just handing out flyers like we did in 2020 in 2004. So I did that, and then I did like more creative consulting. Then like people would ask me to help them with some other kind of parties. So that was going. I had that going, and then that transformed into my juice bar.
All right, now with I love like getting this background because when I looked up your current business, when I saw you and went on your IG page, there's a lot of health, and I love it. And it's funny now hearing how you were, doing the promoting and in the club scene because as someone who frequented the club scene, it's very unhealthy at times. So has the has the health always been a part of your day to day?
A part of me doing good part and company and getting into the health space personally, I just knew I couldn't sustain a lifestyle of being up late, drinking, hanging out, and stuff like that, right? And I needed to like get back I needed to get back my energy from like we was ripping and running for 6 years straight. Like we weren't just doing our parties; we have to be at all the other parties too. Like we have to be on the scene. Like that's actually a job. People think it's cool because you just at it every happy hour, but it's a lot. It's a lot on your body. So I was trying to recover from that, get my energy and mind back right so I can get back into business the right way because I didn't have partners and stuff to like pick up the slack and insulate me from some types of things. So yeah, so that was a big motivating thing. And then from 2011, I always been health conscious because of my mom and my dad. They kind of made me think about it a lot more, and then it just developed more and more interest, and I started actually living it out. Play high school sports, so exercising and moving around was easy enough. It was a part of my lifestyle. And then the diet to go along with it is what came about in 2010, 2011. That's when I went plant based. And I've been doing that ever since. So I kind of just became a touch point for all things plant based and health within my network and my circle. So it made sense to turn it into a business eventually.
Ah, great. So can you name your business and a description of what it is?
Sure. So I own Good Part and Company. It is a plant based health cafe and juice bar. It's the first and only black food service provider partner with Johns Hopkins University. So we had our first brick and mortar in 2020. Before that, I started literally in 2018 in my apartment. So I just moved all my furniture out the living room and invited people. I went back to the party vibe, right? I'm just hitting people up like, yo, come through. I got some juices. I got some merch. I got, come, let's come hang out. And so that was like proof of concept. So it started at 2018 in my apartment. I did that for a few months, like repetitively to make sure it made sense and it could work. And kind of like prior to that, when I was doing my parties in the clothing line, people would always DM me or send me a message on Snapchat that was popping in or whatever and ask me about like my juice recipes or my smoothies. And I was like, yo, I'm trying to sell these t-shirts. Like, get down with my clothing line. I don't want to talk to you about the smoothies. But I was like, I put it in my back pocket because maybe there must be something there that's what they want. Then. And then it grew into a good part company. So we started 2018, 2020, we got our first brick and mortar. In the height of the pandemic, I opened up and we were able to make it through the pandemic. Within the first year, Johns Hopkins reached out, offered us the opportunity to come and join them with their new recreation center that they built out part of. They expanded their gym and they wanted some wellness representation in the gym. So they needed some help, some nutrition to support their student athletes and all of the students on campus. So I had to pitch against some other local juice bar. I'm not sure. They didn't tell me. And that's fine. I just pitched, gave them everything I had. And we won, so I was able to expand. I had two spaces, two juice bars for a while. And we closed down the first one, but it was kind of built more on making healthy convenient and understandable, right? Because people don't, it's a lot of misinformation about what's healthy, what's not healthy, what's vegan, what's plant-based. So when we started out, we literally had like a shelf space, like the Good Part University library, where you could just pick up plant-based books, learn about herbs, learn about remedies, learn about whatever you need to heal in a more holistic way. And so it became kind of like a hub for health. We had our juices, smoothie bowls. We expanded to a little bit of food and stuff like that, and that was at our first place, right? So it's black owned, small business. It was in the city, like in the Mount Vernon area, in Center City. And we moved uptown to Johns Hopkins, where it was more a part of the university. Same products, different, a bit of a different approach, because now it's not so community based. It's like more just straight up service and product. The students, like what we have. They appreciated being plant based, and it's very fast paced. So that was a part of the convenience. So it didn't break my model as far as being convenient and being plant based and being healthy. So we just changed the way we give the information, the way we educate. So now we can't give out books. We don't have our own cafe space. So I just like maybe hold like go on IG Live and do a workshop on campus inside the gym or at a facility here, things like that. So
So you were making the juices by yourself.
yes, I definitely started out making the juice solo. Yeah. From my apartment, yeah, from my apartment to the cafe, I knew where to go get the right equipment. So I invested in like the regular juicer at home, then the next level juicer at home, as big as you can get in your house without being illegal. And then I took that juicer and I was like, well, what's the next level? And I look it up and I was like, whoa, I don't got that much money yet. I ain't opening up shop for a while. So I had to do what I had to do to get the money up. And then I invested in a commercial juicer, and I had to learn how to work that. And that's what I used in the cafe. And that's when it took off, because I was able to make a lot more juice in less time. It still took a long time because juicing it's a lot of labor. So the name Good Part and Company came from that creative agency I had before. It was that creative agency was called Here Comes the Good Part, because I just like words and phrases that are active. It makes you think about doing something. And then also is what people actually say to one another. If you're describing a story, if you're telling a story, if you're describing a movie, like, yo, here come the good part. So like that's what I called it. But Here Come the Good Part doesn't lend itself to like a good acronym. It's not really it's not even a good website name. Like it's just way too much to type, right? It's not a good URL. So I was like, but I still like this good part thing, because everybody understands what good is. Everybody has an idea what they think good is. Like best, better, but we know what good is. So that's very familiar. And I just named the and company because I'm following how bigger businesses do business. They'll put like a law firm, it'll be such and such and company, or Johnson and Johnson. And it's not, it doesn't say good part juice. It says good part and company, because I knew I just wanted to help people get healthy. And that may not come in the form of a juice or something. So let me try to give it a catch-all that still works. So good part and company is what I came up with.
What is a day in the life like when it's time to get up, sell some juice? What does that look like?
So at Johns Hopkins, so in the original shop, 40% of our income or revenue was from juice, from cold pressed juice, like me making juice or me and the staff making juice. At Johns Hopkins, it's less than 2%. They love our smoothies and bowls. So that's when we show up, we gotta be ready to get busy. All right. I wake up early anyway. The cafe opens at 8 o'clock, so I wake up between 4:30 and 5. I do whatever things I need to do to take care of myself, get my mind right. Then I'll do some creative or busy work, whatever I got to take care of to build business, like the doing things, not administrative type stuff. So I do that until it's time for me to get to the cafe. So I may not open up the cafe. I may not go until 10, 11 or something like that. But typically, me or the staff will come open up at 7. 8 o'clock, we're open and ready to serve. We're inside the gym. The gym opens at 6. So our day is very long. We work from 8 to 6 p.m. Because after 6, people want real food for dinner. They don't want smoothies and bowls. Right. So uh, at 8 o'clock, we're ready to serve. And now we just going through the ebbs and flow of like student traffic. So when all the students we get hit at one time, maybe like 20 people in 5 minutes, like literally, like just standing in line, standing right on top of you. So it's high traffic, high volume, food service, quick service, food service. We do a lot of prep. We use a lot of fresh produce and ingredients, so we have to do a lot of prep for say mangoes and strawberries and bananas, a lot of frozen bananas. Right, we take inventory daily, and we'll get our delivery, our fresh produce delivery between 10 and 11 and 1 maybe. Every Monday and Friday we'll get our dry food or frozen food delivery. So that'll come in. The team takes their break between 11 and 1 o'clock. So we kind of like shuffling in and out. We got to do all of the food service policies, take the temperature logs, check the temperature of the food, keep things sanitized, keep things clean. We do enjoy like our own playlists and stuff like that. So we have Wi-Fi going in the cafe, or our own speakers in the background listening to some cool something or another, whatever we want to listen to at the time. And the space is small, so we kind of everybody has a station, but everybody's a utility player. Everybody has to be able to do everything. We know everybody's task, but when we set up at our stations, we kind of assembly line it because it makes it a lot easier to work through. We get our big rush at 4 o'clock because now everybody's pretty much wrapping up with their classes. So between 4 and 6, it could be mania. Like it could be really real, like nonstop until 5:57. Somebody's gonna be coming up to order a smoothie or a bowl, and we like, man, we ready to go. But we here to serve, and we glad that we got business, so we not even going to trip. So that's how it is, man. From 7 o'clock, and then we close down. So it's literally a 12-hour day. So some days I have to work 12 to 13 hours straight if I'm short a staff member, or if we're launching a new product or promoting some new juice or a new smoothie or something like that. So yeah, it could be a really long day.
How big is your team?
Two full-time people and four part-time employees. So for the most part, I always have like two full-time employees at the most, and then everybody else is typically part-time. And it's kind of been like that since I opened. When we first opened, everybody was part-time until we got everything kind of smoothed out. On campus, though, because of the way the shifts are and because the day is a lot longer, we have to have more staff support.
Got it. There's a lot. And in terms of admin decisions, the business side of things,
Hmm.
is it just you doing all of that?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm solo, but if anybody wants to know, get a partner. Partner with somebody when you start your business. It is just a lot. It's a lot more helpful, and you can just operate in the space that you're better in, and you can make more moves. You move faster. You just get more done.
Yeah. Um, so, have you ever thought about doing another? It sounds like this is enough in terms of just the workload. Have you ever thought about doing another retail
Yeah.
space?
Well, when I started, I wanted to have five, and so I got up to two. So I had two for a few months. Also, I learned that I'm not a foodie, so I never worked in food and beverage. I had one job in high school working at a salad bar. So I guess the health thing kind of just followed me all my life, right? But I never, I never had aspirations towards. I like cafes. I like retail because I like the feel of the store. I like curating the design. I like seeing how the paint on the wall and the whole brand, the branding, and how all of the things fit together. But more from a retail fashion product point of view, not food and beverage. I never really thought about it like that. Like my diet is pretty simple, so I don't have a great passion for food. So getting up to two, I was like, okay, and now I know what it takes to do brick and mortar retail, food and beverage. So I've kind of let that idea go of having a lot more, at least not solo. I'll take on partners for sure. Work with other people to develop, food and beverage. But haven't. I mean, I probably could get there, but things have changed since I started. So
So I remember looking at your IG page there because there's other things you offer outside of just the products, right? Am I right? I saw that. It seemed
for good part and company. So like I actually do health and performance coaching for men, right? For men who have high stress, high demand careers, and I kind of help them go from that high stress daily grind and transform it into something that's more sustainable, where they can be more energetic and kind of perform better in their personal and professional lives. And we do that through different holistic means: fitness, nutrition, and stress management. Right, we put all those things together so he can be a better guy on the other end, right? And that kind of came out of Good Part and Company. So with Good Part, I was doing IG Live, and because of the pandemic, I wasn't able to host a lot of things in the store, and we put a lot of effort into the store to make it nice and beautiful and make people want to come hang out, like how you do in the real cafe. But the pandemic put a halt on all that. By the time things opened back up, I was already expanded to a whole new location. So we had workshops here, like live workshops here, workshops online. So we do offer some digital products, some courses on how to adopt a plant-based lifestyle. So we offer that through Good Part and Company, and then through Harcum Holistic, which is my health and performance coaching platform. That's where I offer coaching services. So that's those are the other things we offer. Like we started out as I always thought of it as a lifestyle brand, where smoothies and juice, those were the products, but the actual takeaway was the feeling you feel when you do something healthy. So we would like we sold merch like this shirt or whatever else. We had hats, cups, tote bags, whatever you can take with you to add into your healthy lifestyle. Like those are the other things that we did offer.
There's a definitive need for Harcum Holistic. I don't know. I couldn't tell you how many people I've interviewed on this platform, including myself, who need assistance with the entrepreneurial lifestyle, specifically the moonlighting lifestyle. A lot of folks here at work do both. Some people have already branched out to being entrepreneurs, but I mean, everything from stress, sleep cycles, success, how we measure it, the anxieties behind it. Oh man, I could refer to you like 1,000 people. So oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah. No, no. I'm glad we're having this conversation because I definitely want folks to know that there are options out there because you know it. You know, it can be a lot. Um, man, this is that's crazy. You definitely put a lot into it. What if in, when it comes to this, Harcum Holistic, Good Bart and Co. What do you think the future holds for you? What would be a nice goal for? Would it be another, maybe not a different type of retail space? Is it just more clients, a new location somewhere else? Do you have this kind of, you have a dream in your head or an idea?
Yeah, yeah, I'm building out a health and performance coaching platform. Like that's the goal. We gonna get back. We'll probably get back to the brick and mortar retail space, maybe. Like I said, I'm only trying to do that with partners though, because I know that there are people who have far more experience in food and beverage, and they can because you need to have a lot of cash. Every time you want to expand in food and beverage, you gotta have a whole bunch of money to go pay for another brick and mortar place, and you gotta pay for a whole lot of labor, and you gotta pay for a whole lot of inventory. So I'm trying to get paid. And I'm trying to get paid by making impact. And if the impact is not enough, I don't have enough capital. So if I have somebody else that can fast forward that process and we can grow our margins, because that's another thing in food and beverage. The margins is low. Been doing business since college. I don't like low margins. So I'm trying to think of how can I, but honestly, like people, we should think about making money. But really, I started to realize I had more impact by working with people in a more specific way. And I had a stretch, like I said, when I started college, I was thinking about being a teacher. And so one of those odd jobs I had was I was a long term substitute. So I did teaching for a bit, for 4 years actually. So understanding curriculum, understanding how to communicate, playing basketball for a long time. I was like the team captain, so I wasn't the nicest. I just knew how to communicate with the guys, like get everybody on the same page type of thing, right? I ain't need somebody else started over me, but it was all good. So communicating the message and setting people up to make a play. I want to see guys make more plays in their life to be successful. And the health and coaching space and performance is where I feel like I'm going to make the most impact because everybody has like a different juice or a fruit or a flavor that they like a lot, and that's fine. But that's just a small part of what's actually going to get you to the next step to really, really improving your holistic health. Because it's not just what you eat, right? It's what you do. What you eat impacts that a lot, but you want to have all of the other things that go along with it. You don't want to be one dimensional in how you work on yourself, and so that's what I'm working on. I'm building out a health and performance coaching platform, and we have, two products now. We'll probably add more because that's what you have to do. You have to add products and serve your people at the best level that you can. And so that's what the future holds, man. I got a plan. I got I know about how long it should be taking me from doing the things I need to be doing. And I know better how to operate business at a higher level, right? Like actually generate money, and I know that I'm going to need people along the way. So I'm not trying. I'm open to having partners that do certain things, or at least coming in the game with a certain level of support. So, uh, but it's also fun. It's more in my space because I do a lot of design. Like I had the clothing line. Even when we did the parties, I was designing the flyers. Me and the homies was setting up. Like we was picking out. Like they was like they'd call me and be like, "Yo, um, I need a shirt that got these kind of buttons or this color. Where can I find it?" Like I'm always looking for what looked good together. And so like I wasn't a stylist, but I had friends who were stylists, friends that worked in Nordstrom's and stuff like that. So I'm always thinking about the design aspect of something because design is very functional in a certain, well, it is functional. It should be. The best design is functional. My point in saying that is I can help guys design a life that they can win with. And so that's how I see it. Like I don't just see it as health. Like even when I did the menu for Good Part and Company, like I designed the bill, I designed the boards, I designed all of the recipes. Like I look at it as design. I don't look at it as just like a object or a product. So that's what I'm trying to be. I'm trying to help design the perfect performance.
All right, I like this, man. This has been good. My head is already spinning with potential ideas, but I can tell it's been good to hear you talk about the steps you want to take, and the goals that you have in mind. If there's any advice you could give to anyone who is in the position that you are in or wants to be in the position that you are in, what would that be?
Yeah, go for it. This is. I have a lot of different advice, so I'll just share some of the things that I've learned along the way. Uh, get a coach or a mentor. You know, get partners if you can. But entrepreneurship, I learned this from it's a guy named Dan Martell, and he's like a super millionaire software guy, really smart. And he talks about entrepreneurship is the ultimate personal development tool, and it is. So you have to be, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're going to have to change who you are, and you may have to change who you are often. So I will always tell people this way before I knew who Dan Martell was. Yo, every 3 months my life was changing. I always had something new to do, a new role, new routines because I have to continue to elevate in order for my staff to want to follow me, in order for them to want to grow with me, in order for me to serve more people. I always have to change. So you have to be willing to change. You have to see things as an entrepreneur, not as a technician, not as a manager. It's a good book called the E Myth, right?
I love
You
that
have to
book.
see things. Yeah, you have to see
Yeah.
things as an entrepreneur. So get all of the insight, all the education you can from books, from a mentor, and just be willing to take to take the risk and do the work. It's not entrepreneurship if you're not risking anything. Like if you just playing with somebody else's money, it's not necessarily entrepreneurship. Until you start to risk some things. I mean, you can risk their money, then you just got to deal with what they're gonna do to you or with you, right? but but yeah, that's my advice, man. It's a personal development tool, and people all quote Jim Rohn. You familiar with Jim Rohn?
Oh yeah, I love Jim Rohn.
He talks about become a millionaire not for the money you'll get, but for the person that you'll become. You have to be willing to be somebody different to be an entrepreneur because it's isolating, it can be lonely, it's still rewarding and fulfilling, but most people do not think or approach the world like entrepreneurs do because they're not willing to take that much risk. And that's fine. It doesn't have to be for everybody. Everybody can own a business, everybody may not be an entrepreneur. So be willing to change who you are in order to be an entrepreneur and to succeed in entrepreneurship.
All right. So how can people support you? Where can people find you? What are your socials and
Yeah, so
all
my personal social is at Harcum Holistic on everything from Instagram to LinkedIn, harcumholistic.com. So holistic, just holistic, not like WHOL, it's just holistic. So Harcum, HARCUM, holistic is HOLISTIC.com. Yeah. That's me on all the platforms. Good Part and Company is Good Part and Co. on Facebook, Instagram. We have a Twitter account. And yeah, but you can mostly find me I'm more engaged on Harcum Holistic. YouTube as well. I have a podcast on YouTube. Really just a show, a platform where I share energy around or share insight around just how to keep your brain, body, and business all connected. Because that's what I'm doing all the time, and that's the space that I'm moving around in. So, Harcum Holistic on all the platforms, and you can support me there. Good Part and Company is at Johns Hopkins on the campus at the Ralph O'Connor Center. So it's not easy to find, but it's simple once you get there.
well, I appreciate your time, Quintel. This has been good. This has been really good.
This has been great. This is fun, man. I really appreciate you giving me a chance to share.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely have to we'll have to circle back and plan something else. But I really enjoyed my time with this. This is cool. But yeah, everyone who's listening, thanks for tuning in for another episode of the Moonlighters Club. We'll see you on the next one.